Hey folks, patch 12.1 is adding a brand new zone called the Coiled Isle, which brings along a new renowned faction called Zul'jarra's forces. As you progress through the campaign here, you'll unlock new systems that grant power in the open world and in delves, including the new Nemesis delve. There's also easy sources of champion gear and other interesting rewards scattered throughout the island, so in this video I'll break down what's actually worth doing and what you can safely ignore. The patch 12.1 campaign starts from Orwena and Silvermoon, and it eventually takes you to the Coiled Isle where most of the new content is unlocked. I've added the entire campaign to Follow the Arrow, which you may already have installed if you used it to level alts. If you download the add-on and click on the drop-down menu in the top right, you can select the new patch 12.1 campaign route. This will allow you to easily complete all of the new campaign and side quest lines without having to think too much about where you're going next. It's currently unclear which sections of the campaign will actually be available on August 11th, but I've included all of it in Follow the Arrow regardless. As previously mentioned, the main reputation for the Coiled Isle is called Zul'jarra's forces, and for players interested in endgame power, therethe's only a few rewards that you really need to pay attention to. At Renown 5, you'll unlock a bunch of new profession recipes, and at Renown 9 you can obtain a piece of champion track wrist armor. You'll also unlock better rewards from various systems across the island, such as the Altar of Corrosion, which allows you to spend a new currency called corrosive coins in order to earn additional open world bonuses. The altar itself is essentially an open world talent tree that you can access shortly after entering the vaults of Atal Utek, which is a large underground area beneath the Coiled Isle. Most of the options are pretty underwhelming and only provide minor stat bonuses while you're within the zone. The only noteworthy talents are the move speed bonuses in the center, as they'll make it a bit faster to travel throughout the vaults and can save you some time whenever you need to reach the entrance of the new raid, the Venomous Deeps. You'll earn corrosive coins by completing activities throughout the vaults, and there's also a few daily quests in the area which provide additional Zul'jarra's forces reputation. One important exception to spending all of your coins on the altar is a new alchemy recipe called Liquid Luster. This can be purchased from the corrosive coin vendor for 2,500 coins, and the potion itself looks pretty strong. Alchemists may want to prioritize buying this recipe before dumping all of their currency into minor open world upgrades. Nearby, you'll also find a new weekly quest called Purging the Vaults, which requires you to complete activities throughout this area in order to fill a progress bar. Completing this quest will give you an item called a Venom Cursed Fragment, and if you combine 2 of these, you'll receive a piece of champion track gear. After you defeat one of the special bosses inside of the vaults called an Ancient Foe, you're able to loot a second fragment, which means you can get 1 guaranteed champion item from this area every single week. The weekly quest will also reward you with a Trove Hunter's Bounty, which allows you to get a guaranteed bounty each week instead of relying on a random drop. Keep in mind that this will still count towards your normal weekly limit of 1 bounty, and the reward probably won't become available until Season 2 actually begins. Finally, Purging the Vault will also give you a Corrosive Soul, which is a new currency for yet another progression system called Corrosive Gifts. These gifts are special powers that you can activate on your character, and unlike regular altar upgrades, the bonuses also work inside of delves. When you first unlock the system, you can select any of the available powers, and based on my PTR testing, I would recommend selecting Ophidian Maw. This effect deals a substantial amount of proc damage and can execute enemies when they drop below 20% health. As you collect additional corrosive souls, you'll be able to permanently unlock more of these powers. You can eventually equip 2 gifts at the same time, but this requires spending 64 corrosive souls in total, so it's going to take you a very long time before that becomes relevant. If this is something that you're looking to optimize, I will be discussing the best combinations in more detail in my upcoming Season 2 Delve Guide, which will be linked in the video description as soon as it's complete. If you want to start obtaining more souls, your primary sources will include activities inside of the vaults, the aforementioned Purging the Vaults weekly quest, and another activity called Curse Surges. These are recurring events that rotate between 5 different locations around the Coiled Isle, with the active surge changing every 45 minutes. Each one has a simple objective that you need to complete before spawning a boss, and there's also a weekly quest for completing 3 surges, which gives you 1000 Zul'jarra reputation along with a cache of veteran gear. It's important to note that these events get better as you increase your renown. Once you reach Renown 4, your first Curse Surge boss each day has a chance to drop an additional Corrosive Soul, and at Renown 8, they can drop Warbound veteran gear. Reaching Renown 4 should be easily doable within the first few hours of the patch, so if you care about maximizing your early progression, I would actually recommend hitting that breakpoint before you start clearing out Curse Surges. Otherwise, you could potentially miss out on one of your extra daily chances at a Corrosive Soul. As a quick side note, completing a Curse Surge also unlocks Cursed Fishing in that area for a limited amount of time. There's an associated questline starting from Captain Taka, which is worth completing for the additional reputation, but the rest of the system is primarily aimed at players interested in gathering professions, so it falls outside the scope of this video. At this point, the last major reward that we need to worry about is the Champion Wrist Armor at Renown 9. Fortunately, this should be very easy to obtain before you ever set foot inside of the new raid. In addition to the campaign, there's a bunch of side quest chains scattered throughout the island, along with one-time reputation bonuses from treasures, lore objects, and your first kill of each rare mob. The lore objects are especially valuable since each one gives 250 reputation, so collecting all of them will give you a full renown level. I've added the campaign and all side quests to follow the arrow, so you can simply select the appropriate route and have the arrow guide you from one objective to the next. For all of the treasures, lore objects, and rare mobs, I'd recommend downloading something like Handy Notes instead. It'll show you their locations directly on the map, and it'll make it much easier to keep track of which ones you still need. Upon reaching Renown 5, you'll also be able to purchase the recipe for the Zul'jarra's Forces contract. At max quality, this will give you 15 additional reputation every time you complete a world quest, and just like other reputation contracts, this works on all Midnight World quests rather than only the ones on the Coiled Isle. This definitely isn't required, but if you're getting close to Renown 9 and need a bit more reputation for the Champion Bracers, this is an easy way to close the gap. As a final note, you can pick up a weekly dungeon quest in Silvermoon, which allows you to earn an additional 1000 reputation with Zul'jarra's Forces. You might need to complete all of these weekly quests again after the August 18th reset in order to ensure you reach Renown 9, but it shouldn't take much time to do this. Blizzard has clearly made an effort to devalue reputation rewards compared to previous expansions, but these Champion Bracers are still easy enough to be worth farming for if you want to squeeze out a little bit of extra player power. There's also a few other powerful gearing methods in patch 12.1 that aren't directly related to the Coiled Isle, so I didn't think they were worth discussing within this particular video. However, I'll be posting a separate gearing guide video shortly after the patch goes live, which will show you how you can use these methods to push your item level as high as possible before the start of the next season. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could toss it a like, as that'll help other people find it as well.